Welcome, everybody, to Flyover Footy. My name is Matt Baker, and we've got a special guest here today. Flyover Focus, we're bringing you an eMLS slant for St. Louis City. I'm here with St. Louis City SC's eMLS player, Niklas Raseck. Niklas, thank you
Hey,
for taking the time to talk to us today.
hey.
So I know you're in the middle, as we're recording this, you are in the middle of the League Series 1. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, but thought it'd be nice to let the fans get some insight into who you are, what your background is, and just learn more about the overall process for eMLS. So before we dive into the nitty gritty, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up? How'd you get into soccer? What's your history with esports and gaming in general?
Okay. So I'm 24 years old. Grew up in Germany in the west near Dortmund. I used to also play football as a kid till like 13. I was a goalkeeper, and then with 14 I started to have my first esports tournament. So 10 years ago, which was the German Championship, where I reached the semifinal, and this is where it all started.
Wow, so you're a wily veteran, so to speak, as far as esports go.
Yeah.
So besides FIFA, I mean, have you always just gravitated towards? Sounds like you played soccer growing up. So have you always gravitated towards FIFA? Have there been other games that you've played competitively? And what are some of your favorite games or platforms even that you play on?
So yeah, FIFA been the only competitive game for me. I've always grew up with football, so that's also how I got into FIFA. Like I always had like bigger cousins, and they always used to play FIFA. Where when I was like a kid, they were like older than me, so I always played with them. Like it's really natural. Like when you watch football, you also get into FIFA, and that was at that time also like the only uh, game I played. And nowadays I just play other games just for fun, but not really competitive.
Kind of taking the edge off a little bit from the competitive FIFA aspect.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, so you said you've been a competitive FIFA player for about 10 years.
Yeah, my first tournament was 10 years ago. It wasn't that big there. Like it was like I was not really a competitive player, but like esports got bigger and bigger then, and then at some point, yeah, got
So
more
what?
professional.
Awesome. Well, what are some highlights of your career, would you say? So, 10 years of competing in various esports at various levels. Any notable matches or achievements that you're proud of?
I won the German championship. Won the Foot Champions Cup, which is like the qualification, like let's say like the European Championship of or of FIFA in FIFA 20. Then was first in the leaderboard in FIFA 20 at some point. Qualified for three three World Cups, where in one I reached the semifinals. Yeah, that's probably the best with it.
Awesome. Well, so you're known by NR7. I think that's, those of us who watched you last night in the first qualifier night of League Series 1, we saw NR7. It's what eMLS is branding it as. So what's the history behind that nickname?
So N is just for my first name, Niklas, and R for my last name. And number 7 I used to have when I was like a little kid. I was like a winger before I was a goalkeeper, and I had the number 7. So yeah, N7. Pretty
Always,
simple.
always held a special place in your heart.
Mhm.
The number 7 always held a special
Yeah,
place in your heart.
yeah.
Nice. So FIFA tends to be a solo game, but you've got a history of being on some competitive teams. So looking up your history, VFL Bochum, you were a part of. So talk to us a little bit about what it's like to be on a competitive esports team and maybe some differences between some of the teams you've been on.
Okay, so the biggest difference is, I would say, is between a football club and the organization. I was at two organizations, and this is my second football club now. So I was at two organizations and two football clubs. Um, so the football clubs is like you have like more background to like also the football fans because they watch you as well. It's not just like the esports part. Like for example, I was at Rogue and at Guild, and there's more like it's like just esports orientated. So everyone who's like watching is like watching because they're interested in esports in general. And in a football club, yeah, also fans who didn't really like watch a lot of esports can watch it and will be interested and will support you.
Yeah, and I know from a St. Louis City perspective, there are a lot of fans who are being introduced through to eMLS through the club. So a lot of the fans I saw commenting on Twitter, for instance, last night were from the sporting side getting involved. So that's really interesting. And so you're kind of the first European FIFA player they announced to be signed to an MLS club. So it brings a lot of new eyes, like you mentioned, a lot of potential expectations. So what was it that drew you to eMLS and maybe St. Louis in particular?
So the eMLS seemed really interested to me. Last year I was with Goal Machine, who's also a player. Like I coach him for the League Series One, so that's the first introduction I got to the eMLS because I got to know the structure and stuff like that, and it seemed really interested. And then talked to St. Louis in the summer last year, and it all seemed like a really good project. And I was like, this sounds really great. The eMLS is a really nice event. St. Louis is a great football club, which will grow even more in the future because it's the first season. So, yeah.
So it sounds like a fairly recent kind of knowledge growth for eMLS. So you're competing now, as we're talking, in the midst of the 2023 League Series One. So before maybe the past few months or a year or so, was eMLS or MLS in general ever on your radar? And especially after competing last night, how do you see the competition compared to previous tournaments you've been in?
Yeah, as I said, like I was watching it last year a lot because like I was coaching a player, so that's like the first time I was seeing like it's actually like really big, and yeah, I really liked it. And yeah, the competition is really high. Yesterday, I think I played a few of the best players in the competition. Uh, yeah, and of course the competition is really good. Yeah.
So, you're experiencing a lot of the different FIFA tournaments. What are some of those differences that you can talk about maybe between some of the FIFA tournaments in different leagues that you've been a part of? So, playing with Bochums, for instance, we're curious kind of to know more about competitive esports, especially related to FIFA. So, with those different FIFA tournaments, are there different rules, differences in what kind of teams you can select? And from your perspective, anything else difference wise between the leagues?
I would say the main difference is just the team building, because we have like restrictions for the eMLS. We have to use like four eMLS players and one retired player. So yeah, that's like the main difference in any league. Like they have other restrictions. For example, in the Bundesliga, they need to use Bundesliga players. Here we have to use MLS players. So I would say that's the biggest difference. And also, like in some leagues, there's more 2v2. It's more 2v2 orientated, while in the EMS, it's just 1v1. So I would say that are like the biggest differences.
So that's really interesting. In coming from the MLS side, there are a lot of on the sporting side some weird roster rules the way you have to create a team in real life. So it sounds like um, each league has their own slant, and you use FIFA Ultimate Team. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so are these cards that you kind of have yourself, and then you need to acquire maybe the MLS specific players in order to put that team together? And so it really is what you're bringing into the team as opposed to taking something that exists in the game itself.
Can you repeat that again?
So in FIFA Ultimate Team, you have to collect the cards and put the players on the field. So are you collecting a lot of the required MLS players one way or another to put into your lineup, or is that given to you in the game somehow?
Oh yeah, the account for the EMS is given to us, so we got the like unlocked account and can pick whatever player we need.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. So what is your preferred style of play then? So you've got your required players. You're in different leagues even. Right now, what's your preferred style of play or formation? And does it ever change as the meta of the game changes?
Yeah, I would say it changes a lot with the meta. For example, this year 3-4-3-2-1 is like the meta formation, so I also play it. But in general, my play style is like still the same. I like to be in control of the game, have the possession, and um, yeah, take my time for the attack. And then once I have the opportunity, then I will start to play quick and try to take the opportunity.
And so, what's your approach to some of the matches that you play? So you have your own style and your own formations that you bring into it, but Is there any kind of prep that goes into each match as far as what you know about your opponent, or even expectations for a series of matches that you're going to have in one night?
Not really. I just try to practice before I have my games every day, and try to get in my rhythm and try to feel good with my game, and then try to play my game and bring it through.
So you're not so much concerned about maybe what some of the top, like you mentioned playing the top players last night. You're not so much concerned about how they're going to play their game. You're focused on yours and how you're taking it to them.
Yeah, exactly. I focus on my game and try to play my best game rather than focusing on their game.
Awesome. So we mentioned that we're talking. You've played one night of League Series One qualifiers. Last night you went 3-2-1. You have another set of matches tonight before League Series One happens this weekend, and then you move on to the next few types of tournaments. So League Series Two, eMLS Cup. It seemed like in watching you a little bit last night, you started off hot, and you had some funky AI issues with one of your matches against Lamps, for instance. I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about your experiences that first eMLS night and thoughts going into the rest of the tournaments.
Yeah, so I felt like really good. I had a really good start. I was won my first two games, then played Paulo Neto, who also won a LS2, I think the LS2 last year, who's obviously a really good player. I was 4 down in that game and brought it back to 4-4. Could have even won, like had a good chance in the 90th minute, but that was like okay. I will take that draw. It's okay. I was 4 down. Was feeling well. Like I think I played good. Then then I think 2 games later I played Lamps. Was leading 1-0, like pretty comfortable. Like nothing really happened, and then just like yeah, literally the game just gifted him a goal, and it was 1-1, and I ended up losing that game. It was like yeah, didn't feel really good because I felt like I really deserved to win that game, and yeah, then ended up drawing the last 2 games of the night.
So, how do you handle yourself as an EMLS player and a competitive FIFA player in general when you're going through a string of matches like that, and you're feeling hot or even you're feeling cold, and you're either wanting to stick with something or turn it around? Is there any kind of like what's the mindset that goes into staying more or less like off tilt, making sure you're not getting jaded one way or another?
Hmm. I actually find it good that the games are right after another because that means you don't have a lot of time between the games to think about that. You can just focus on the next game and still stay in your rhythm. Like if there was a break for like for example for like 2 hours or so, that would mean like you would get out of rhythm and had to get back into rhythm like before the game. So yeah, I, for me it's good because I don't have a lot of time to get tilted or to think about it. It's just like straight away the next game. I have to focus on that one and hopefully win that one. So yeah,
Well, and having a break between qualifier nights in particular, and then obviously the break between League Series One and Two. What kind of routine do you have, either day over day or maybe right before a match? Do you practice? Do you work on some tactics? And how does your what does your kind of preparation look like for those
yeah.
games?
So the first main thing is to get good sleep, get a good rest, so I can be fresh for the next day, and then get practice in a couple of hours before that. So I get warmed up, get into my rhythm, and then yeah, and hopefully do well.
Do you do any kind of ultimate team play before the match? Do you do maybe some friendlies, some exhibitions?
Yeah, I do play friendlies against other players from the eMLS that I don't play today. So I practice with them, and yeah,
The ones that you don't need to tip your cap to or
yeah,
tip your tactics?
yeah,
Awesome. So, taking a step back and thinking about the fact that you're representing St. Louis City. So, it's the inaugural season of St. Louis City on the field. You're the second EMLS athlete to represent the club and wear the crest. So, what does it mean for you to be playing for St. Louis and kind of how that all plays into the first season for the team on the field?
yeah. It means a lot for me because yeah, obviously, I know a lot of fans are watching and yeah, supporting. So I want to make them proud and do my best and yeah, hopefully end up doing good.
So I believe you're based in Germany. Is that still correct?
Yeah.
Any plans to come to St. Louis maybe once they have that esports lounge finished at the headquarters to kind of see what the stadium and the playing facilities are like for eMLS as well?
Yeah, that's definitely planned. And also to watch like a home game and see the stadium, meet the fans. Yeah, definitely planned.
Awesome. So St. Louis has a history of supporting anyone who really supports us. So we always back our own. You're one of our own now. So is there anything else that you want to say to the fans of St. Louis or St. Louis soccer in general about what they can expect from you, or just anything you want to say to the fans?
Yeah, I want to thank them for the support so far, and yeah, and I hope that I can bring a whole trophy home to St. Louis.
Yeah, we look forward to that as well. So those are all the questions that I had, Nicholas. Thanks for your time. Before we go, can you tell everybody where they can follow you on social media and your streams?
Sure. So the stream for the eMLS tonight will be on the St. Louis YouTube channel, and yeah, that's where they can follow the stream. And me, they can follow on Twitter and Raseck7 and Instagram Niklas Raseck, just my name.
Awesome. Well, Nicholas, we'll let you get back to it. We've got a busy slate tonight and ahead. So thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you too. Bye bye.